Most Menorcans are aware of this, but claim that as long as their own traditions are kept alive, there's little danger from outside. They point out that their most important festival, the Feast of St. John the Baptist, unites the island like a call to arms. Possibly they miss the irony that the central role is always given to a farm worker, a figure that's disappearing from their society. He carries the Lamb of God, which as the island became more and more prosperous, grew bigger and better and ended up as a ram. The week before the fiesta, a house-to-house procession visits every important person in the city to raise horses and money for the climax of the festival on Midsummer's Day. One would imagine that the clergy would be delighted over this show of religious fervour, but they're worried, the Bishop of Ciudadela among them. They believe the fiesta is now being turned into an exhibition for the tourist, its deeper significance overlooked and cheapened, especially among the young. The festival began in the 14th century and was probably brought by the Knights of St. John of Malta, whose flag heads the procession. All the ancient records were destroyed when the Turks stormed Ciudadela in 1558 and razed it to the ground. So the original meaning of all this symbolism has been lost. But we do know the peak on the ram-bearer's forehead began as a halo and evolved into a sun shield. In each house they receive food and drink, and then, following tradition, always turn right on leaving. The drink is a fairly potent local concoction, so that by the end of the day, telling right from left can present problems. Usually the ram is given to the bearer as a gift, but this time the owner was so pleased with the animal, he decided to keep it himself and give the farm worker money instead, which was a pity, really. After a long, hot day of being carried, you can't feel completely indifferent to the person who's been so close to you. And it was a very affectionate ram. Six days later, on the morning of June the 23rd, Ciudadela prepares for the fiesta. It goes on well into the night and spills into the side streets, filling the bars and restaurants, and continues through to Midsummer's Day. The rich trappings of the horses are traditional and handmade. There's one class distinction, so to speak. Noblemen's horses have their tails left free. Peasants' horses have their tails plaited. Every year the form is the same. The man on the donkey, who might represent Christ entering Jerusalem, goes about the city rounding up the horsemen who are dressed in Napoleonic costume. Originally, the horsemen were knights and men-at-arms, but with the changing times, they gave way to landowners and farm workers, professional men and tradesmen. In fact, anyone who was a skilled horseman. The Menorcans throw hazelnuts to unseat the riders as they try to show off their skill in leaps called caracols. The Menorcans will keep up their celebrating throughout the night, until Midsummer Day lurches in for them about mid-afternoon. Then the festival begins all over again with a formal procession to the jousting area. The jousting, which has also changed over the years, is a remnant of the 14th century, when skill at arms seemed a healthy outlet for religious high spirits. The fireworks mark the end of the official fiesta. The unofficial one will go on well into the morning. Afterwards, the Menorcans can settle down to make the most of the tourist season, which from the end of June moves into top gear. Long live Ciudadela. Long live Menorca.